The demand. The ultimatum arrives. The message reached Earth at exactly 0400 hours Universal Time. Every communication device on the planet received it simultaneously. Computers, phones, tablets, even ancient radio receivers crackled to life with the same transmission. Citizens woke to find the face of Commander Xyloth of the Zinthra Collective staring at them from every screen. Admiral Marcus Webb stood in the Global Defense Command Center deep beneath Geneva. His weathered face showed no emotion as he watched the alien commander deliver humanity's death sentence. Around him, officers from every nation worked frantically at their stations. The numbers scrolling across the screens told a grim story. Xyloth's face filled the massive display. His species looked almost reptilian, with silver scales that shimmered under harsh lighting. 4 eyes blinked independently as he spoke. The translation software rendered his words in every human language simultaneously. Humans of Earth, Xyloth began, his voice devoid of warmth. Your resistance has concluded. We have eliminated your orbital defense network. Your military satellites drift as debris. 3 of your largest cities have witnessed our power firsthand. Webb clenched his jaw. The attacks on Mumbai, Sao Paulo, and Jakarta had killed 2 million people in minutes. The Zinthra weapons had simply erased entire city blocks, turning concrete and steel into dust. The impossible choice. You have 72 hours to comply with our terms, Xyloth continued. Dismantle all military forces. Surrender all weapons technology. Prepare your population for integration into the collective. Your governments will dissolve. Your planet will be administered by our overseers. Refuse these terms, and we will demonstrate why 400 civilizations have submitted to Zinthra authority. The transmission ended abruptly. Silence filled the command center for exactly 3 seconds. Then chaos erupted. Officers shouted reports. Communication channels exploded with incoming messages. Every government on Earth wanted answers, wanted guidance, wanted someone to tell them what to do. Webb raised one hand. The room fell silent instantly. Status report, he said quietly. Keep it brief. Colonel James Mitchell stepped forward. He looked like he had aged 10 years in the past week. Admiral, we've confirmed the destruction of all orbital platforms. The Zinthra fleet consists of approximately 200 vessels positioned around the planet. Our analysis suggests each ship carries firepower equivalent to our entire nuclear arsenal. Our forces? Webb asked. Scattered and damaged. We have maybe 30 functional combat vessels. Ground forces are intact but useless against enemies in orbit. Our missile systems can't penetrate their shields. Mitchell paused. Sir, the math doesn't work in our favor. A different kind of calculation. Webb nodded slowly. He walked to the main tactical display and studied the positioning of the Zinthra fleet. They had arranged themselves in a perfect sphere around Earth, maintaining precise distances. It was textbook military doctrine for a siege. Cut off escape routes. Demonstrate overwhelming power. Wait for surrender. Dr. Sarah Chen approached from the research section. She was young for her position as Chief Technology Officer, barely 35, with dark circles under her eyes from days without sleep. Admiral, I've analyzed their shield technology from the sensor data we collected during the attacks. And? Webb asked. They're incredibly advanced. Absorb energy weapons completely. Deflect kinetic impacts up to extreme velocities. But, she hesitated, there might be something. The shields seem to operate on rotating frequencies. They're never vulnerable, but they shift power distribution based on threat assessment. Meaning? Meaning they're designed to handle conventional warfare. They expect logical attacks from predictable directions using standard weapons. Chen pulled up a holographic display. They're not expecting chaos. Webb's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Go on. The first spark of defiance. Every species they've conquered fought the same way, Chen explained. Military vessels in formation. Coordinated strikes. Proper tactics. They've perfected countering that approach over centuries. She looked directly at Webb. But humans don't always fight properly, do we? Mitchell frowned. Doctor, we can't win through unconventional tactics alone. They still have overwhelming firepower. Maybe we can't win, Chen admitted. But we can make them regret giving us 72 hours. Webb turned away from the display. He thought about his daughter, who lived in Jakarta. Lived. Past tense. The Zintra attack had taken her along with millions of others. He thought about his grandson, who asked him last year why humans studied history if all the old wars were over. Webb had told the boy that humans needed to remember how to fight because peace never lasted forever. Patch me through to all remaining military forces, Webb said suddenly. All channels, all frequencies. I want this broadcast everywhere. The communication officer looked uncertain. Sir, that includes civilian networks. The whole planet will hear this. Good, Webb replied. They should hear this too. Humanity's answer. The red light activated, indicating live transmission. Webb stood straight, his uniform crisp despite the exhausting circumstances. Behind him, the command center buzzed with activity. He wanted the Zintra to see humans still working, still fighting, still refusing to quit. Commander Zyloff, Webb began, and despite everything, he smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. It was the smile of someone who just decided to flip the table rather than lose the game. I've received your ultimatum. I've reviewed your terms. I've calculated the odds. He paused, letting the moment stretch. And here's our answer. No. Around him, officers stopped working. They turned to watch their admiral. Some looked shocked. Others started to smile. No surrender. No submission. No compliance. You want Earth? You'll have to take it. You want humanity to kneel? Come down here and make us. Webb's voice grew harder. You destroyed our orbital defenses. You killed millions of our people. You think that broke us? He stepped closer to the camera. You just made us angry. The plan takes shape. Webb gestured and the transmission cut. The command center erupted in a mixture of fear and exhilaration. Mitchell approached quickly. Admiral, what are you thinking? I'm thinking about asymmetric warfare, Webb replied. I'm thinking about guerrilla tactics. I'm thinking about every dirty trick humans have invented in 10,000 years of fighting each other. He pulled up a list of names on his personal display. Get me Captain Rodriguez on the Lunar Mining Station. Get me Professor Okafor from the Weapons Development Lab. Get me every crazy scientist, every maverick pilot, every stubborn soldier who's too stupid or too brave to know when they're beaten. Chen was already working on her tablet. I'll contact the Civilian Space Corps. There are thousands of mining ships, cargo haulers, and private vessels out there. Not military, but they can move and carry cargo. Cargo? Mitchell asked. Bombs, Chen said simply. Big ones. Small ones. Smart ones. Stupid ones. If it explodes, we're going to use it. Webb turned to his command staff. People, we have 72 hours before their deadline. The Zintra think we'll spend that time panicking and preparing to surrender. Instead, we're going to prepare for war. Not their kind of war. Our kind. Mobilization begins. Messages went out across the planet. To military bases where soldiers had thought their war was over. To research facilities where scientists had been calculating surrender terms. To civilian shipyards where workers had started evacuating. Every message carried the same information. Humanity wasn't giving up. In orbit around the moon, Captain Maria Rodriguez received Webb's transmission aboard the mining station Cerberus. Her crew had spent the past week hiding, trying to avoid Zintra patrols. Now she gathered her people in the main hangar. "All right," she said, looking at the assembled miners and engineers. "The boss wants to know if we can turn mining equipment into weapons. Who wants to tell him yes?" Every hand went up. In Lagos, Professor Kwame Okafor read the encrypted message from Global Defense Command. His laboratory had developed experimental weapons for years, designs too dangerous or unpredictable for actual use. Now Webb wanted everything he had, no matter how experimental. Okafor started making lists. Sonic disruptors. Electromagnetic pulse generators. Nanite swarms. Plasma charges. Some of them might work. Some might kill more humans than aliens. But doing nothing guaranteed extinction. He sent his acceptance immediately. The clock starts ticking. Across Earth and throughout human-controlled space, the response was the same. Pilots who had been grounded volunteered for suicide missions. Factory workers started converting production lines to weapons manufacture. Programmers began developing viruses designed to target alien systems. Even civilians with no military training demanded to help. The Zintra had demanded surrender within 72 hours. Humanity's answer was simple. They would use every second of those 72 hours to prepare. Not to prepare for surrender, but to prepare for the fight of their species' existence. Webb watched the responses flowing in on his display. Acceptances from every corner of human civilization. Volunteers numbering in the millions. Resources being redirected. Ships being armed. Weapons being assembled. "Sir," Mitchell said quietly. "Even with all this, the odds are still impossible." Webb nodded. "Colonel, humanity has been beating impossible odds since we climbed down from the trees. The Zintra made one critical mistake." "What's that?" "They gave us time to get creative." Webb's smile turned predatory. "And humans are very, very creative when we're angry." The countdown had begun. 72 hours until the deadline. 72 hours to turn Earth into a trap. 72 hours to show the Zintra Collective why conquering humanity would be their greatest mistake. The preparation. Mining for war. 18 hours after Admiral Webb's defiant broadcast, the mining station Cerberus had transformed into something the Zintra wouldn't recognize as a threat until too late. Captain Rodriguez stood in a converted cargo bay, watching her team work with the focused intensity of people who knew their lives depended on success. "Show me what you've got," she said to Chief Engineer Paulo Santos. Santos was a massive man who had spent 20 years cutting rocks in zero gravity. His hands could operate precision equipment or swing a hammer with equal skill. Now those hands gestured to a row of modified mining drones. "These beauties normally carry shaped charges to fracture asteroids," Santos explained. "We've upgraded them. Each one now carries enough explosives to crack a small moon. The Zintra won't see them as weapons because they're broadcasting mining signatures." Rodriguez examined the drones. They looked unchanged externally, still displaying the yellow and black safety markings of civilian equipment. "And you can control them remotely?" "Better than that. We've programmed them with basic AI. Point them at a target, and they'll find the optimal impact point. They're essentially smart bombs that look like stupid mining equipment." Santos grinned. "The Zintra shields are designed to stop military hardware. Let's see how they handle industrial accidents." Across the bay, other teams worked on different projects. Welders attached weapons to cargo shuttles. Programmers installed targeting systems in civilian software. Every piece of mining equipment that could move, explode, or carry a payload was being converted into an instrument of war. Basement laboratories. 12,000 kilometers away in Lagos, Professor Okafor's laboratory had become command central for every mad scientist on Earth. Video conferences filled multiple screens as researchers shared ideas that would have been rejected as too dangerous just days ago. The EMP concept works, reported Dr. Yuki Tanaka from Tokyo. We can generate a pulse strong enough to disable their shield emitters. The problem is range. We'd need to get within 500 meters. That's suicide, someone objected. Not if we use unmanned delivery systems, Okafor countered. He pulled up a schematic. Old-fashioned rocket artillery. Thousands of rockets. Most are decoys, but scattered among them are the real weapons. The Zintra can't shoot them all down. Dr. Anna Volkov from Moscow added her analysis. I've studied their attack patterns. Their ships have blind spots in their defensive coverage. Small gaps where overlapping fields create interference. If we can map those gaps precisely, we can exploit them. The screen split to show Dr. Sarah Chin joining from Global Defense Command. I'm uploading our complete sensor data from the attacks. Every scan we made, every measurement, every observation. Use it. Find their weaknesses. There's something else, Chen continued. Their communication system. It's incredibly advanced, but it operates on principles similar to quantum entanglement. That means it's potentially vulnerable to the right kind of interference. Okafor leaned forward. You're suggesting we can jam their communications? Better. I'm suggesting we might be able to inject false data into their networks. Make them see threats that don't exist. Confuse their targeting systems. It won't work for long, but we don't need long. We just need chaos. Civilian volunteers. At shipyards across Earth's orbital space, civilian vessels were being transformed. The cargo ship Eternal Wanderer had carried supplies between Earth and Mars for 15 years. Now Captain James Wu watched as military engineers welded missile racks to his hull. This is going to affect my fuel efficiency, Wu commented drily. The engineer, Sergeant Lisa Park, didn't look up from her welding torch. Sir, with respect, if we lose this fight, fuel efficiency won't matter. Wu nodded. Fair point. How many missiles can you fit? 40 tubes. Mix of conventional and experimental warheads. Dr. Chen's team provided some interesting options. Plasma charges, kinetic penetrators, nanite payloads. We're not sure all of them work. Will they explode? Almost certainly. Then they work well enough. Similar conversations happened across hundreds of civilian vessels. Pleasure yachts received weapons upgrades. Shuttles got armor plating. Even antique museum ships were being brought back to functionality. If it could fly and carry explosives, humanity was putting it in the battle line. Nobody was forced to volunteer. But nobody declined either. Underground networks. On Earth's surface, different preparations were underway. In cities still recovering from the Zinthra attacks, resistance cells formed spontaneously. People who had never held weapons before practiced with rifles. Hackers created viruses designed to target alien systems. Engineers booby-trapped buildings in case ground forces landed. In New York, former Detective Marcus Stone organized civilian militias. Listen up, he addressed a room full of ordinary citizens. If their ships land troops, we need to be ready. The military will handle the big picture. We handle our streets. A young woman raised her hand. We're not soldiers. How can we fight aliens with advanced technology? Stone smiled grimly. Same way humans always fight when we're outmatched. We make them fight on our terms, in our territory, by our rules. They want to take our planet. They'll have to take it one building at a time, one street at a time, one city at a time. And we'll make every meter cost them. The hidden weapon. Admiral Webb received a priority communication from Antarctica. Dr. Elena Frost, director of the International Research Station, appeared on his screen. Her expression was carefully neutral. Admiral, I need authorization to unseal Vault 7. Webb sat back. Vault 7 was a closely guarded secret. A facility where humanity stored its most dangerous experiments. Things too powerful or unpredictable to deploy under normal circumstances. What's in Vault 7 that can help us? Project Prometheus, Frost replied. We developed it 10 years ago and immediately locked it away. It's a self-replicating nanite swarm capable of disassembling matter at the molecular level. We never used it because we couldn't guarantee we could control it. And now? Now we're facing extinction. I can program the nanites to target Zinthra technology specifically. Their ships, their weapons, their shields. Everything with their specific molecular signatures. Frost paused. But Admiral, if the programming fails, if they evolve beyond our parameters, they could consume everything. Webb considered. Releasing an uncontrollable weapon that might destroy Earth to save it from the Zinthra seemed insane. But doing nothing guaranteed destruction anyway. What's the success probability? 70% it works as intended. 20% it fails harmlessly. 10% it ends all technological civilization on Earth. Prepare it, Webb ordered. But it's our last resort. We use everything else first. Tactical discussions. In the command center, Webb assembled his core team. Mitchell, Chen, Rodriguez via video link, and a dozen other key personnel. A holographic display showed the Zinthra fleet's position around Earth. We have 48 hours remaining, Webb began. Status? Mitchell went first. We've armed approximately 400 civilian vessels. They're not warships, but they're mobile weapons platforms. We've got 3,000 modified drones ready for deployment. Ground forces are preparing defensive positions in every major city. Chen continued the report. The experimental weapons are ready. Some will definitely work. Some will definitely fail. Most are somewhere between. We've developed 17 different electronic warfare packages designed to disrupt Zinthra systems. Supplies? Webb asked. Every factory on Earth is running 3 shifts. We're producing ammunition, explosives, and equipment faster than we can distribute it. The bottleneck isn't production, it's deployment. Rodriguez chimed in from the lunar station. Sir, we've positioned mining equipment throughout near-Earth space. It looks like normal civilian traffic. The Zinthra are ignoring it. When you give the word, we can activate and turn the entire orbital region into a minefield. Webb studied the tactical display. The Zinthra maintained their perfect sphere formation. They radiated confidence. Why wouldn't they? They had overwhelming firepower. Superior technology. Centuries of conquest experience. But they didn't understand humans. The final hours. With 30 hours remaining, Webb recorded a message. Not a broadcast this time, but a personal recording for the archives. Something for future generations, if there were future generations. This is Admiral Marcus Webb, Global Defense Command. If you're watching this, either we survived, or you're studying the end of human civilization. I want you to know that we didn't give up. When faced with impossible odds, humanity chose to fight. He paused, organizing his thoughts. The Zinthra collective demanded our surrender. They offered us slavery as an alternative to extinction. They thought we would calculate the odds, see the logical choice, and submit. They didn't understand that humans don't work that way. We're not logical when our survival is at stake. We're stubborn. We're creative. We're willing to try the impossible because the alternative is unacceptable. Webb looked directly at the camera. In 72 hours, we'll know if human courage is enough to overcome superior technology. We'll know if improvisation can beat precision. We'll know if determination matters more than firepower. Whatever happens, remember this. Humanity chose to stand. We chose to fight. We chose freedom over survival. The deadline approaches. 24 hours before the ultimatum expired, the Zinthra fleet remained in position. Their commander, Xyloth, reviewed reports from his subordinates. Everything proceeded according to expectation. Human resistance had been minimal after the initial displays of power. A few desperate broadcasts meant nothing. Status of human military forces, he asked. Scattered and disorganized, Commander. Their orbital defenses remain destroyed. We detect increased activity around their planet, but it appears to be civilian traffic. Panic and evacuation attempts. Xyloth studied the tactical display. The human fleet, what remained of it, huddled near their moon. Perhaps 30 vessels. Irrelevant. Maintain position. When the deadline expires, we'll demand formal surrender. If they refuse, destroy another city. They'll comply after that. His tactical officer hesitated. Commander, there's something unusual about the civilian traffic patterns. Multiple vessels moving in coordinated patterns. Civilians fleeing. Expected behavior. Yes, Commander, but... Maintain surveillance but take no action. They have 24 hours to accept the inevitable. Humanity's trap springs. On Earth, Admiral Webb watched the countdown timer reach 23 hours, 59 minutes. Around him, every station in the command center showed green status indicators. Ships armed. Drones activated. Weapons charged. Electronic warfare systems ready. Ground forces positioned. Admiral, Chen said quietly. We're as ready as we're going to be. Webb nodded. He thought about his daughter. His grandson. The millions already dead. The billions counting on him. He thought about every human who ever refused to surrender, who chose to fight impossible odds, who died standing rather than lived kneeling. All stations, he said, his voice carrying across every communication channel humanity possessed. This is Admiral Webb. You know the plan. You know the odds. You know what's at stake. He paused, letting the weight of the moment settle. Let's show the Zinthra why you should never corner humanity. All units, begin Operation Hammer. Hit them with everything we have. Across human civilization, the response was immediate. Ships powered up. Drones activated. Weapons armed. In thousands of locations throughout Earth's orbital space, humanity's trap prepared to spring. The Zinthra had given humanity 72 hours. They thought it was time to prepare for surrender. Instead, it had been time to prepare for war.